Good morning, all you amazing humans out there. It is a beautiful Thursday. I'm here sitting next to my dear friend Gwen, who just had an amazing week of extreme conditions in wing foiling, and we're going to dive into a little bit of that. But I wanted to open this day up with one, say I'm grateful for everybody out there. I'm grateful for you, Gwen, and everybody that surrounds us. Sometimes you just go through life and it's just like things fly by and you never say what you really truly mean sometimes because life is fast. And I just want to say I'm very grateful for all my friends and family that support us and are there every day through the good and the bad. And I don't think it can ever be said enough, but thank you. And thank you, Gwen.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, it's definitely been an incredible journey, and yeah, we are loving it. So everybody watching, joining us, we are like so stoked to be able to do what we do, and we're gonna keep doing it.
Yeah. So we'll start off with a little bit of motivation and then we're going to dive right into. So recently, Gwen did you know how professional surfers do these blaze runs to like Nazare and ride 90-foot waves. Gwen does these magical strike missions to Idaho when it's like 700 below zero, blowing blizzard out conditions to try to wing foil.
Yeah, what is that not like the most amazing thing to do? I mean, to me, I just feel like I love like a good like challenge, and the thing is like it might like not be like it might suck, like the actually act of doing it, but then I don't know, it's kind of like
Is it possible?
it's yeah, it's like wondering like can I do it,
Yeah.
and that is like to me like the exciting part. I mean, like, Damien, do you feel like you've had like things like that, like looking back you are like this was kind of like
Oh,
stupid, but like
this is all teed up for this reason alone. So Gwen's strike mission one, to go test or challenge himself in life or conditions or you know um this is what I want to say today that I think is so powerful. I have a little nugget who's turning 2 in a little bit, and she just had a accident and she broke her arm or her shoulder. And here's why I'm bringing this up. I think it's so powerful. So she's not even 2, she's 1 years old. She had this accident, busted her arm, and she walks around the house now knowing that I heard it. I now have to hold my hand like in a sling, like this, so everybody can see it. She has to. Oh, sorry. There we go. Like this, knowing that this arm's messed up, so she has to hold it. Right. Okay. So reason I'm saying all this is she's 1 years old. Okay. And we question, like, can you learn something in life? Can you do all this stuff? What's possible? Like Gwen going out and doing this. She's 1 years old, turning 2, and she knows that I injured that. My reaction in my body is to hold my hand because I know if I move it, it hurts. Like, is that just not the most magical, amazing thing in the world that, like, at that age, you can acquire the enough awareness to know, like, I got to keep this still. So mom and dad are going to put it in a sling and we're going to wrap it up. And, but she knows when we take it out to just hold it. Like, and the reason I'm going into that is to say, like, people wonder if I can challenge myself, if I can wing foil, if I can, I don't know, go on a date with somebody or go talk to this person or maybe get a job doing that, whatever it may be. I just look at that going, I mean, obviously I grew up with a family that was wonderful and supportive, and they said you can do anything in life. But I just like, I thought it was such a great wake up call. And for all those parents out there that, everybody said you're going to have like 100 more of those instances with your kids. So like, I'm like, oh, great. But I just think it's so powerful to just say to everybody out there, if you really want to do something or you really want to learn something, like just go. And like Gwen said it, his experience here that he's going to go into in depth on riding in just extreme conditions. Like, he didn't know what was going to happen, but he kind of went through the process and did the checklist and learned his way, and it became this exciting adventure. Because you don't know if you don't go. If you just like, I wish I could do that, but you never make an effort, you go nowhere. But if you at least make an effort, you're on the right track to something special. And who knows, it could lead you into something totally different. um you know um yeah, I just
Yeah,
wanted to share that. I thought it was
I
super
mean,
powerful. So
it's always like, you learn by like doing mistakes, and as much as like, we don't like to make mistakes, and I'm sure, I'm not like a dad, but I'm sure as parents, like, you don't want kids to make mistakes, um, especially when that mistake like physically like hurt.
yeah,
uh, but that's life, and you learn so much from it. In any situation in life, you go, you do something, you fail, and that's when you learn the most. So um, when you go and do something that has like a high um, like probability of failing, a high level of risk, of course you want to be as prepared as you can be. But you know to me there is a lot of like excitement into that journey, and um,
unknown.
which translate to what we're going to talk about today. Going to Idaho, I see a storm in the forecast. I have family in Idaho. I didn't pick Idaho out of nowhere, but it just like, I look at the forecast, I see a storm coming, and I'm like, all right, I could link the family with like a nice session on the lake. It's gonna be extreme, and it's gonna be a good experience. And there is a local rider here, Tony. We've made a video about him, so you can go back and watch the video with Tony. He's amazing. He's like 63. He wing foil here in Sandpoint, Idaho, all year round. Obviously, less in the winter, and sometimes the lake does freeze over. So that then it's not possible. But I think for the most part, he's been able to have like at least one session a month all year round for the past like 2 years or something. Um, so I see a forecast, and I'm gonna go now to like put it into like
Yeah, paint
perspective.
a
Like,
picture.
let's talk about like what that looks like. So we are here in Sandpoint, Idaho. It's pretty far north. We are an hour from the Canadian border in the northwest. Um, and there is this lake, big lake. The Navy actually has a submarine like base where they do like prototypes and stuff, because it's a very deep lake, something like, I don't know, 1,500 feet deep or something.
Wow.
And so we get good decent wind, and when the storm comes, it brings the best wind we get is from the north. And so in with that storm in the forecast, it looked like we would get, it was kind of all over the place for the few days before the storm. So in my quiver, I brought like an 8, a 5, and a 3, like, because I was like, it could be almost nothing, we might need the 8, or it could be like survival and we might be overpowered on a 3. So we show up to the beach. The wind is blowing
How
south.
many
So,
feet of snow are on the ground?
well, actually, not much snow. Like, it had not been like snowing for a while. Actually, I think the week before it had been raining, so it was like, it was grass on the rigging area, dead grass, but grass. And then so we are like filming the intro with Tony. We have the 8 meters because it's like super light. So we film the intro. All right, we're gonna talk about extreme winter condition riding, and Tony's gonna go out with the 8. Boom. We are like about to like go out. I set up the tripod, and literally like 5 minutes of time go by, and the wind switch 180 direction. So now it's not south, it's north, and we have to deflate the 8 because it's cranking. So now we are like, all right, okay, let's put the 8 away. wondering if we should go 5. I mean, literally 5 minutes ago we were like considering 8, and then we are like, no, it's like actually way too strong. Like we need the 3. So we pump up the 3, and so in terms of temperature, it was not too cold yet. We had a very like cold front coming, but we were early into it, so it was about like 30 degrees air temperature, and the water temperature is 35.
Hmm.
So I know there is a rule out there. That's the rule of like 100.
Yeah.
So you add the air temperature to the water temperature, and if it's below 100, pretty much don't go.
Yeah.
Well, here we break that rule, and that's not what we recommend. But if that's what you want to do, it's possible. So get out there. It's literally snowing so hard, visibility is so bad. I have a GoPro on the wing for Tony, and unfortunately the GoPro literally dies right away because it's so cold. So GoPro shut down, so you won't see any GoPro footage of Tony. And then I'm like on the tripod from the beach, like hiding behind a tree because it's like blowing sideways so hard. And then Tony is like going back and forth, like when he's like about like to jibe out, like to come back, like I can barely see him on the lens. You will see the footage. It's like, unfortunately it's not like that great because you can literally barely see him. I have him mic'd up, and I went through the footage, but it was so survival that he was not able to share much information at all. He was focusing on surviving really. So again, that plan of like sharing like tips while riding didn't really work out.
Is it
James,
just like beep, beep,
well, yeah,
beep, beep, beep?
he did like fell like quite a few times, and with the mic you could tell he was kind of frustrated because I mean it was like he was overpowered on the 3 meters, and then it's snowing sideways, you can barely open your eyes,
Just to
and
paint
then
a quicker picture here. Sorry to interrupt, Gwen.
yeah.
Gwen called me yesterday, and he's like, or was it yesterday, day before, whatever? And you're like, dude, so we just did this, and like, I was so nervous because Tony would go out, and then I wouldn't know if he was coming back.
Yeah, I mean, so like
Survival at the
yeah,
finest.
we're gonna talk about like safety in a second, but so James is commenting here, and thanks James for commenting. I know James is also from the area.
Oh, awesome.
There is a cool like Facebook group called Inland Northwest Wing Foiling. So if you are interested in following up like what's going on with the local riders here in Idaho, you can join that Facebook group, and everybody's posting photos, and you see they are like frozen wings and all of that. So there is definitely a hardcore like community of wing foiler here, and
I
I
love
just
it.
come in.
James's is 80 plus or
eh,
minus 5.
yeah, like the rule of 100 doesn't apply in here. It's
Not
they
for
have
these
to
guys.
change it.
These guys are hardcore in Idaho.
But yeah, there's a really cool community, and people go out here like even in the winter. I just fly in and then I go back to the sun because that's enough for me. But yeah, in terms of safety, I mean, the thing is like this is like very like serious. Obviously, like you don't want to mess up. You don't want to it's you have to like you have to take it very seriously. And so when you go out there, you have to understand like you have to have a plan, and kind of like your own like rescue plan, because it's not a typical like ocean town. Rescue would be very challenging. There is the fire department, but they are not like, they never do that. If they had to go in this kind of condition, they would probably struggle. They would take time to get ready because they are not used to it. So they have a small boat that they can put in the water, but they usually don't use it when it's cranking like 30 knots. So their small boat might like flip over in that kind of condition. So you pretty much have to consider like, all right, you are kind of like on your own, and you have to have your own like rescue plan. So that's why with Tony, we work together. We are out there together, and if something goes wrong for him, I'm gonna be there to go and help him out. And in that kind of cold, you have to be also prepared in terms of like staying warm. And so dry suit is pretty much the only way. I'm assuming like if you had like a wetsuit, it would be so thick that you could not move. So you kind of like need a dry suit to be able to keep mobility. And then the good thing about the dry suit is you can layer up or layer down under according to the temperature. You don't want to be too hot that you're going to be sweating, and it is possible, which is crazy in this kind of like condition. You can be too hot, so you want to make sure you manage that side. And the you need like extreme booties. I mean, I have 8 millimeters booties. At that point, it feels like shoes or boots, and riding with boots does not feel good. I just came from like Florida. We had a session literally like a few days before with Damien. Like shorty, like amazing, like you barefoot on the board, you feel the board nice, like, and then you come here
When you're wearing
and
ski boots.
and then you are wearing like boots to like ride. So and then glove, hood. Now with the dry suit, I don't know, Damien, do you have like any experience riding in a dry suit?
I do. I do. We filmed a lot of dry suit videos here in Florida, which was some pretty warm, warm occasions when we filmed those photo shoots. No, I would say I actually think dry suits are absolutely awesome. I just, the only thing that I would say that I use them when we were up in Canada and some of the places we used them, was we would put a suit underneath it, and it's like a precaution kind of, but Gwen's 100% right. You can actually overheat quick in them, and obviously you don't want to cut them. If you slice them or rip them, it can lead to obviously a safety scenario you don't want to be in. But a suit underneath is going to help prolong that a little bit. But yeah, I mean, I've always been, I'm a big fan. I think they're great. I think, making sure, but again, that's like something that I'll just hit on real quick is like a checklist, like, before you go out in those conditions with your dry suit, like, make sure your dry suit's in a place that's not just thrown and that can be punctured in a hole, and you go out and now you're in a scenario you don't want to be in.
I mean,
So
make sure all of your zippers are like
yeah, you got to
closed,
be. These are
because
those safety things that you forget about, and in everything, because you get so used to doing whatever it may be, a sport or and it can I always try to relate things to like maybe more daily life, and it's like people go to the gym every day, and it's like, well, you walk every day to the gym, you do the same thing over and over, and what if that little walkway to the gym froze and there's ice on it and you could slip and fall? Like, I know it sounds lame, but it's also like precautions of things that you don't want to be injured. These are those just thinking ahead. So
yeah. So actually, James is saying I have not tried it, but he has more experience than I do in cold weather riding. He's saying that 8 millimeters wetsuit, he likes it better than a dry suit. What I love about the dry suit is like I'm so cozy, like I'm like dry. The downside of having any neoprene under your dry suit, to me, is the dry suit is not insulated. The dry suit just keeps you dry, and so it's what you're gonna wear under that's gonna keep you warm. And neoprene is not doesn't work as well if you are dry, and so that's why like wearing neoprene under your dry suit, to me, is maybe it might be helpful once you have a bridge and you are taking on water or whatever, but until then, if you are dry under, it might not be the best. So I pretty much layer up like you would like skiing under. I have
long
like a
johns and that kind of
yeah,
stuff.
exactly. And so it, in case you fall and you rip it, you rip your dry suit, you are taking on water. People have this like misconception that like it's gonna fill it up, you're gonna be like a balloon filled up with water, and it's not. Like, you're gonna take on some water, you're gonna probably, if you rip it because you fall on your foil, it's gonna hurt. The impact is gonna hurt, so you will be a bit in pain. You will have been in the water for a few seconds until you climb on your board. You just don't lay in the water unless you are dead pretty much at that point. But so it's gonna, you're gonna hit your foil. It's gonna make a cut in your dry suit. You're gonna, quickly like climb on your burn. You're gonna be, oh fuck, like, that hurts. um, and what you're gonna do at that point is, either you just like play it safe, you sit on your burn, you pretty much like go back to the beach. And what happened was, you got in some water. It got you kind of wet. At that point, you are starting to get cold, but you are making your way back to the beach already. So it's a possibility, of like, cutting your dry suit. Now, how often does it happen? I've actually never, in since I've wing foil, I've never really like had a situation where I cut. I mean, actually once I cut my wetsuit from the foil, but it's not like something that, especially in this kind of condition, you play it safe. You don't go out, go do some crazy like, maneuver. You ride in straight line. That is challenging enough, and then you ride in straight line back. Um, so yeah, like
I think
uh,
what Glenn's saying, and James, thanks for chiming in, saying 6 mil hooded wetsuit, 8 mil gloves, 8 mil boots. Awesome. I know tons of people that ride in crazy cold conditions, and a wetsuit or a dry suit, they both work. It's just a choice of what people like, and it's a preference. How thick of movement you want. But what Gwen, I think, is saying that's pretty awesome is like, these scenarios that he chose to do this. This is an adventure. This is like an extreme. This isn't like he's going to go out and he's like, okay, today I'm going to work on my double backflips or whatever. He's going out to be like, we're going to try to wing in these gnarly conditions, and let's see what happens. But let's go through our checklist. And, they're prepared. They know what those scenarios, or you try to cover a lot of those safety potential issues ahead of time, and you can't do everything, you can't think everything, but that's part of the excitement, I truly believe, is to like know that it's a little risky, but you're gonna do this adventure. It's a total, like, you're riding in a blizzard. Imagine that you're riding in like a milk bottle. It's pretty wild to think. You can't see anything around you. You're probably just like, I don't know. I mean, I would think it would be quite an amazing experience.
yeah, there is always like uh, um, a bit of like unknown into that situation, but um, you like, yeah, you kind of like plan ahead. All right, it's blowing this direction. Let's say I like destroy my wing. What's gonna, like, you kind of like try to run through like different scenarios, um, and so you position yourself so that if any of these scenario happen, you are prepared. So in this kind of condition, I'm not gonna go across the entire lake. I'm gonna just do like short tacks, and that's enough. Even though it has like high risk, you keep it as safe as you can.
I love it. I'm sorry, I'm laughing. James just commented. He's like, so true. Obviously, both wetsuit, dry suit work, but he said the reason why he likes his wetsuit is, I like it better because he puts it on at home, goes to the beach, and then he comes home and takes it off in the shower.
Yeah,
That's
I
like,
mean,
that's
what I love
different.
about the dry suit is I literally like I put it on like a while before even my session, so I'm nice and cozy in it. I don't like show up to the spot and then put it on, because otherwise you start getting cold already. So I'm like at home, I put it on, and then I drive around, hit
You
on.
probably had it on the night before. You were like so amped up. You probably slept in that thing. Everybody.
So yeah, I mean, yeah, like I wear it like a while, before I'm ready, and then I go out in the element. Like I pretty much even pump the wing, get it all my gear ready, get back to the car, crank the heat, and so then when I go in the water, I'm already like standing, like I'm not cold from the stand. I think that helps. But
Let's
um,
dive into the wings. How do the wings hold up in absolutely frigid conditions, and windows and all that kind of stuff? Those are big
yeah,
chats from everybody. Everybody always
yeah.
talks about that stuff.
So
Handles, plastics, whatever. I mean, is
everything,
everything
like, everything was fine. I mean, we were overpowered on the street, because the wind just like got crazy right away. So it was definitely kind of like, survival riding. But the the wing would pretty much like ice up, because it was like 30 degrees, but the windshield, with the windshield, it was like much colder. So when your wing, you get in the water, it gets kind of like wet, and then you ride, and so then everything is freezing up, and then until you kind of like dip it, you fall or whatever, you dip it in the water, and then that's kind of like helps it like remove some of the ice. But yeah, we had like we were using the 3 meters, the new Mantis, and I know there was some talk about like window material cracking in the cold. And so before even I did this session, I talked to Brody, the wing designer from Cabrera, and asked like, is are the windows gonna crack in the cold? And he was like, no, not at all. This is the material we use. I can't remember what he said, but he pretty much said this window material does not crack in the cold, so you are good. And so yeah, put it to the test. Didn't crack. I mean, it was literally. I took a story with my phone after the session, like of the wing that I sent you, Damien, and it's like there is a layer of ice
It's
on
crazy.
everywhere. When I deflated it, it just kept its shape. It was like I could have almost been winging with it deflated because it was like rock solid, like in shape. Um, One of the challenge is that is your deck, the deck of your burn icing up again, because
Mhm.
the burn gets wet, you go ride, you go ride, and then that windshield makes that water on your deck like ice up. So at that point, it's pretty much time to like give up and then go home. But I don't know. Some people were like talking about like foot straps. So the funny story is like when I was like in Florida, cozy, we had that session, awesome session in Fort Pierce, Damien, together, did backflips and all of that. So fun. I look, I see the forecast for Idaho. It looks like it's gonna be cranking. I'm like, how amazing would it be to go do some backflips in the winter in Idaho? So that's my plan. I'm like, I'm gonna bring this board. I'm gonna bring foot straps, and then I think the universe, helped me to make a choice here, because I was flying Southwest, and Southwest would not take my burn bag. Somehow the burn bag was too big. I don't know how, because I travel all around the world with this burn bag and it's fine, but Southwest wouldn't take it. So um, so I couldn't take my bond, and then the only bond I had here was your like first bond, wing bond, that's like about like 75 liters.
Yeah, I saw
Um,
it, the tanker.
yeah, so I think that was like the universe telling me, don't go crazy here. You need to chill, because thinking back, I'm like, with 8 millimeters booties in the foot strap, you don't know if you are locked in your foot straps because you don't feel it. And so that would have been the worst. Like doing a backflip when you lose the burn is the worst. So now I would have been like, extreme condition, dry suit, flipping the burn, sending the burn like, like a guillotine above my head. That would have been like ridiculous. So like I'm glad actually, I don't think riding with foot strap, when you have that thick of booties, would be tricky. One, because you don't even know how do you put your feet in it, because you don't even know if you are like hitting the side of the strap. Like you literally can't feel anything with 8 millimeters booties. So I think it's almost better to ride strapless, and until your deck ice up, and then when it ice up, you go home. Something that Tony was saying was, it's gonna ice up around your feet if you don't move your feet. So now where your feet are, there is no ice. So you have one spot where the entire deck is frozen, but there is the spot of your feet
You're like,
on the
"Tick,
burn.
tick."
Yeah. So as long as you stay inside and you don't move your feet, that spot it should be staying like ice free.
So note to everybody: start with the widest stance you possibly can start with in gnarly conditions, and slowly work your way in because it'll be grippy. And anybody listening, look, if you're enjoying this and you're listening and you ride in super crazy cold places, man, leave your comments so that what works for you, what are your safety precautions, so that we can spread some more safety across to everybody out there that does ride in these conditions. And maybe there's something that you've learned that's super awesome. And yeah, we're doing this to hopefully give people more information. But man, sounds like an adventure. And James, thanks for chiming in. James is in Idaho, who rides with a huge wetsuit. He said the worst risk with driving with a massive wetsuit is when you're driving in the car, and you get pulled over by an officer and it's the middle of winter. Probably be the hardest thing to explain.
Yeah, yeah.
Brilliant,
I guess
brilliant.
in a dry suit you kind of like look like
Yeah,
normal,
you
but
got just a coat on, sort of. Yeah.
something that I've heard as well is like, with a dry suit, you know, the point is to stay dry. Do you ever take on water through the seal, through the wrist, the neck, the ankles? Do you ever take on water when you fall? And and um, and to me, it's like not at all, as long as you are wearing booties, gloves, and hood over the seal. And obviously, when you ride in this kind of condition, you have to like wear all of that. So your seal, not only it's pretty, it's very tight, obviously, but there's something tight as well sitting on top of it. So now it's literally like pretty much impossible for water to get in, even if you take a hand crash. And I have tested the dry suit without that, and then taking big crashes. And yes, you would take on water, but that was because I was not wearing anything over the seal. But I've never had any water going in when I'm wearing booties, gloves, and hood on top of the seal. So I'm definitely in this kind of condition. I know, like James said, like 6 millimeters wetsuit. I'm a huge fan of the dry suit. I think it's so cozy, and the mobility is still pretty good. Now, something that you need to consider before you go out in this kind of condition is also like, it's so much more challenging to just ride. And so we were like a few days before in Florida, riding wave, jumping, having so much fun. And you come here and literally just riding is a challenge. It makes you feel like, I can't even do anything. Like, so I was trying to like ride some of the swell, because you with that kind of wind, you do have like some like wind swell like building. So I was like putting the wing down and riding some swell. And like, I mean, I'm like just trying to like ride the swell in a straight line is my challenge. Like, I'm not trying to like carve or anything. Like forget about all of that. Like, it's gonna be very basic what you can do. So that means, you have to like be prepared in a way that like, this kind of condition is not the time when you're gonna learn how to wing foil. You have to have a very strong base. I mean, if you can't like stay upwind in the summer, don't even like try to go ride in this kind of condition. So you have to have like a pretty good base of your like wing foiling level, to be able to like ride in this condition, because once you add all of that gear on you, you
Yeah.
can't feel anything. Everything becomes so much more challenging. And yeah,
Good point.
so
Yeah.
don't expect that you're gonna learn new tricks, you're gonna improve. You are literally just um
I
like
love this. I
yeah,
look, Urban, thanks for chiming in. This is great. I drove over 2 hours, frothing to go play, and then he realized that the ice was frozen on the lake, and he had to walk like 20 meters to get to where the water was. I mean, those are the adventures you take. You don't know if you don't go, people. You
yeah,
don't
yeah.
know if you don't take that move, that step, that whatever in life. So like don't have an expectation. We say it a lot, but like, just go on the adventure. That's what life is, an adventure. And it can be as incredible as what Gwen just did in Idaho, or as simple as going for a walk. It's just an adventure and living in the moment. And then Billy, thanks for the helpful tip. Insulate a jug of hot water for your post session to warm up your hands after your session. That's great advice. That's really good. I mean, these are all those things that, when you live in a really cold area, these are things that will help everybody. But
Yeah, I mean, to a different level. When I was like, I grew up in France, in Brittany, and it's cold in the winter, and not that kind of cold, but you wear like maybe like a 5 foot wetsuit, booties, gloves, hood. And so what we would do is we would bring a jug of hot water, and we, before the session, you put it inside the wetsuit, so that, because again, like the wetsuit works when there is a layer of water between pretty much like like your skin
insulation in your body. Yeah.
yeah. So if you don't do that, the water that's going to come in is going to be cold from the ocean. So what we would do is we would literally already put water inside that is warm, and now you have that layer. It goes down, like it goes from like hot to like body temperature, and it's going to stay there. And it's not gonna, the first water coming in is not gonna be like insanely cold. So that was a trick we would do, wearing wetsuit in the winter.
My greatest trick that I ever used was go to the computer and book a ticket to somewhere warm, and
Yes.
you're good.
Well, and then for sure, and it's just like, I think everybody, like riding in the cold, I think dreams of like, I mean, I know I was, when I was like a kid, like I was like, this is like, this sucks, like it's so cold, I wish I would be like in a bond short, like, and I couldn't go
Are you
ride in
taking
bond shorts, so.
advantage of what you're given? So it's perfect.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing, is like, that's why I think what we are like trying to share here is, if you are prepared, then you can enjoy,
Any sense.
even the harshest like condition. But you have to be prepared, and you have to adapt. Like when we are in Florida, we can have like a 3-hour session, and it's amazing, and we don't even get cold. Here, even if you are like dry suit and all of that, you might keep your session to 20 minutes. But I still, coming out of that session, I still like came out like with the same stock. I was like, that was like so awesome. I didn't do any like, I mean, I literally rode in a straight line and did 2 drives and pretty much came back, and came out of
You
that
did it.
session. And yeah, came out of that session super stoked, as much as like if I had
Yeah.
a session in Florida, riding waves, jumping, and all of that. So you still get so much like stock and
Adventure in the
satisfaction,
moment. Yeah.
because you did it. You kind of like overcame the challenge, um and so it's not about what you actually like trick you did or whatever. It was like, I went out there, and I did something that I wasn't sure I could really do, and that's it.
I love it. Big props to your whole gang there, James, Tony, you. I'm sure there's more. Your wonderful lady who was trying to help film. I'm sure that's always a struggle. But no, I just look. Glenn and I chatted, and we thought this would be really exciting because in life, you have all these different scenarios, and I think what's unique about wing foiling and the people, you guys that are in it, are drawn to it for the adventure and the feeling it can create. And I would just say, like, open your mind to what is possible and just give it a shot. Because the reality is, I mean, a session for less than 10 minutes, 15 minutes with Glenn in Idaho was great. His amp level was through the roof. I mean, I heard it through the phone. And it's like, was it, the most perfect Hawaii conditions? No, not even close. But the fact is, that's what life is just taking something and making the best of it. So to everybody out there, I guess the main point we wanted to pass on today was like, here's some safety, and everybody listening, chime in, throw your info there so we can help people for that safety in the future. And then 2, to just say, look, take advantage of every opportunity. You don't know if you don't go, and it's the truth. Like if you're willing to give it a shot, it could be one of the coolest adventures, challenges, exciting times in your life. You never know, but you gotta, go for it. So I
Yeah,
think
and for sure, like I would say, like, some people, like, when I posted that video on social media of like riding, like somebody said like, and that was kind of a joke, but anyway, somebody said like, just go skiing. And it's like, yeah, it's the appropriate thing to do in this kind of condition.
For sure.
But to me, it's like, it's not about, yeah, I can go skiing. There's so many people going skiing. That's not, to me, I don't see, it's definitely more fun, doing it, but it's not as much of a challenge. And so, just like, to me, I would just say, like, whatever, like, you like to do, if you like to go skiing, that's amazing. You have a great time. Awesome. But sometimes it's nice to challenge yourself and to do something new, and to do something that you are not exactly sure if you can do it. Now you also want to stay like humble and not be like crazy, like not be like, I don't know if I can do it, this seems like totally dangerous, let's go do it. We're not saying that's what you should do. But in this kind of like situation, we went out to the beach, we assess, we think it's within our reach, we are prepared for it, we go for it. You also want to stay humble in a way that, like, if you go to the beach and it looks totally crazy and you are underprepared and you don't think you can do it, maybe don't go. Like, that's not the kind of challenge we are like saying you should do. So you want to, just a challenge, but not something that seems like, I'm gonna die today. So yeah, just wanted to like place that out there, because we are not saying don't go do crazy stuff that
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say I think if anybody's connected with Jim Cantor, I think it would be an incredible Weather Channel explanation of going out with James and Tony and Gwen in Idaho. One of those massive storms would be incredible. But look, we appreciate everybody. We do this for you guys. If you have any ideas, thoughts, anything you want to hear, we can definitely go into it. We're going to jump over into the Patreon show. Just $5 a month supports us. And really, we just do this for you guys. So we really appreciate all the support. We appreciate all the thoughts and comments. And we appreciate Gwen going out and doing some exciting adventures, and Tony for making the effort to be out there in Idaho. That's so awesome. But truly, we just want to say thank you guys. We want to say wish you the most spectacular Thursday and an even better weekend. And hopefully you enjoy it with your friends and family and loved ones, and just enjoy the moment in life. Life goes quick, and we're always trying to bring a little reminder to you guys that, live in the moment, and, don't take things for granted, and be grateful for your friends. And I'm super grateful for Gwen and all he's done. And I'm sure you guys see it throughout all he's done for the sport. So it's pretty spectacular.
Well, yeah, thank you. Thank you, Damien, and thank you everybody for watching. Let us know, what if you have ideas. I did this mission, so next mission is for Damien. So you drop your suggestion there.
Yeah, I'm thinking underwater winging. I'm gonna fill it with water. I'm gonna try to underwater wing somewhere.
Or like, what about winging with that like bubble, like balloon that you go inside?
Yeah, that's what Ava needs. On that note, everybody have a wonderful day. We appreciate y'all. We're going to switch over, and we'll see you next time.
All right, thank you guys.